Hello everyone. Well, I'm a bit late to the party showing you this Dyson 360i robotic vacuum cleaner because, as far as I know, it's discontinued. Certainly in the UK, it's not been available to buy on Dyson's website for quite some time, and on their eBay outlet store where you can buy refurbished Dysons, they're down to a handful. Whether or not they're going to get any more in, I'm not sure. I know this has been superseded by a newer version with some improvements, but I thought I would get one finally before they're not available anymore. This was new in the box. It's not a refurbished one. It did have a seal around it, but I've had a sneak peek because I bought it from eBay and I thought it was a good idea to check it first before I had time to make the video. So I'm going to be unboxing it for the second time, but first time for you. So here's the robot. And what struck me when I first took this out was how very small it is. It's a bit taller than many robots, but the actual footprint is pretty tiny. So that's all wrapped up. I'll just pop that to one side, and under the foam packaging we have the charging dock, which will open out. It's obviously covered in cellophane at the moment, so I suppose I better remove that. And we've got some instructions on the back. So that's the dock, and we have two sockets either side, so we can plug the mains adapter, the charger, into either side, so it makes it a little bit more versatile for positioning. You need to position this up against a wall, and you need to make sure there's quite a good area around it free. So you don't want it with lots of furniture around it. You want to make sure that the robot can find the dock and dock itself to recharge. And just on the bottom there we've got two metal bars, and they're the contacts, so they make contact with the robot when it charges up. And there will also be, you won't see it yet, but there'll be a blue light that'll indicate that the charger, the wall dock, is plugged in and ready to go. So there's that. Also we have the charger. This is a UK version, so it comes with the UK 3-pin plug. It's a very Apple-esque looking charger, very like an Apple product this, and it has a premium price. Obviously I did save a bit of money. I got mine for less than it would have sold normally. This I think went for around £800. I didn't pay that much for this one. So we'll just take off the protective cover and unwrap the cable. There's some more plastic on here. There we go. So this has got some cable management built in, so any excess cable you can wrap it around. If you don't have any excess cable, that pops down there, so you can pull that up. Once you've plugged it in, found a suitable place, any excess cable you can store on the charger, so you don't want any cables sort of hanging around. That's the thing with a robotic vacuum, any robotic vacuum. You do need to prepare your home for one. So that's nothing on the floor really, no loose objects on the floor, no cables, loose fringes, long curtains, things hanging over beds, any fabric, anything that can be trapped in the robot's brushes. You don't want to have that. You want to eliminate that as much as possible. So that's the charger, and inside here we've got a little message to remember to connect your robot to the Dyson Link app, which you can find on your app store, Apple or Android, and you can connect it to your phone or your tablet. So I'll be doing that in a minute. I've already got the Link app. I used that when I had the Dyson air purifier because that used the Link app. And then we've got instructions here how to use your robot, and if you want to read the instructions before you get your robot, you can look at them online, which I suggest you read them thoroughly before setting up your new Dyson 360i. So here's the unit itself. It has a couple of carry handles either side, so you can pick it up if you need to remove it from any trouble. If it's got caught somewhere or if you just need to pick it up and manually put it on the charging dock, you've got 2 recesses either side. It's got quite a small little bin located at the front, and this bin contains Dyson's radial root cyclone technology. To remove the bin from the cleaner, there's a little button here, so you just press that and out comes the bin, and to empty it you just need to remove the cyclone from the top. This will be stiff because it's new, and there's the small bin there. There is a max fill line. Empty that into the bin and then replace the cyclone top. You can see it's got multiple cyclones there and several seals. There's a seal here and a seal round the top. It's always good practice when you're emptying just to make sure these seals are clean, and also this mesh filter screen around the cyclones will get dirty. Hairs and other fibres will wrap around it. Every time you empty you need to just remove it with your hands or a cloth. A damp cloth can be used, but not one that's wringing wet. Make sure you dry it before putting it back together though, but maybe just a piece of kitchen towel or one of those surface wipes. I like to use those. Or you can, if you've got another Dyson cleaner or another vacuum, you can use the dusting brush from that and occasionally give it a brush, or failing that perhaps an old paint brush would be suitable to keep that clear. So that fits back on. There's only one way you can do it until it fits back on the top. Now there are 2 filters in the cleaner which Dyson suggests you wash once a month. You can see the pre-motor filter when you remove the bin. That just pulls out like this, and you clean this under running water or submerge it in water. Dyson suggests just cold water, no detergent. But with this type of filter you'll find a lot of the debris gets caught actually inside this slit. So if you can, direct water through the slit here, squeeze it out, and also direct water on the outer, and then squeeze it again, shake it, try and get as much of the mess and fine dust from out of this filter as you can. It's a bit of an odd design, it's hard to clean properly. Once that's clean you can pop that back till it clicks into place, and then the exhaust filter is located on the back. There's a button here, so you press that and then you can remove this filter grid, and here's the other filter which just pulls off, and again you wash it under running cold water. You can put it in a bowl as well, agitate it if it's very dirty, give it another shake and a rinse and leave it to dry, not over direct heat, and then approximately in 24 hours when you know it's 100% dry you can pop it back. There is also a little USB port there which can be used, I suppose, to update the appliance, but I think you can update it via your Wi-Fi if it's connected to your Wi-Fi network. And here is the battery which you can remove and replace, but at the moment, at the time of making this video, Dyson don't offer this as a part you can buy and fit yourself, but I'm sure in years to come, or even now, you'll probably be able to buy cheaper batteries that fit. Obviously don't do that unless the guarantee is expired, because once you fit something not recommended by Dyson, they won't validate your warranty, I wouldn't have thought anyway. You're not supposed to use anything not supplied or recommended by Dyson. So there's the exhaust filter. Once that's back in place, you take the grill and just slide it on. You have to locate it a certain way. It's a bit tricky. There we go. Nearly. Let me check I've got the filter in place properly, which I probably haven't. No, I haven't. That's it. There we go. Now it should fit. That's it, and it should click into position. And then of course we can pop the bin back. Just goes in, pushes in and clicks into position. This is the camera on the top that helps navigate the robot, and you've got a big button here to actually start the robot. Obviously once you've got the app you can start the robot via the app on your phone or tablet. On the underside of the cleaner we can see the business end, This is the brush roll on the underside of the robot that includes black carbon fibre brushes and red nylon brushes. Now the black carbon fibre ones are very soft and they're designed to help clean hard floors better, especially fine dust. And the red nylon brushes are designed more for your carpets. Now I've seen a few videos where these black carbon fibre brushes have worn out pretty quickly, and that's happened on other Dyson machines, cordless and corded, that have featured these. And most people who've had this problem, if it's under warranty, they've contacted Dyson and Dyson have sent them out a new brush roll. To buy a new brush roller yourself, I think it's about £37, which is quite a lot of money. Now you can actually remove this if it gets wrapped around with lots of hair. And you'll notice on this side there's a little slot where you can put a coin or something similar and take out the brush roll. So it's easy enough to turn, and then out it comes. And you can see there it's much easier to clean when it's out of the machine. Don't submerge this in water. You can wipe it again with a damp surface wipe if you want to, but the main reason for getting this out is it'll have hairs and threads wrapped around. So you can take a pair of scissors and cut through and then remove all the bits. It might take you a few minutes, but it's worth doing to maintain the efficiency of the robot. When the brush roll has been removed, you can check the cavity here to make sure there's no debris that's got caught. You can also give it a wipe with one of those damp surface wipes, but make sure it is dry before reassembling the cleaner. There's also a little hole here, just about see, that's a suction inlet. It's quite small, not much bigger than my finger, so if the robot stops picking up, it's possible something is wedged in that tiny hole there. Even something could get caught across the top of it and then debris will build up and eventually block it. So make sure that that is free of any debris. All the robotic vacuum cleaners I've looked at so far have sprung-loaded wheels to enable them to go over different surfaces, but Dyson is slightly different. They have tank tracks, so it's a little bit better for getting up higher thresholds, onto higher rugs, onto different surfaces. Again, they are sprung-loaded. And you can clean underneath these if they get any fluff. There is a single screw here. You can remove that screw and this whole unit comes out to help you clean any fluff that might have built up around the tracks. There's also a swivel wheel here at the front. Again, it's sprung loaded. And again, that could get wrapped around in time with little bits of hair. It's a good idea to make sure that that moves freely. There's also two tiny, not sure if you can even see them, tiny rollers either side there, and two more just at the back. And in the middle here we've got the contacts that need to line up with the contacts on the charging dock so the robot can recharge. I'm now going to connect the charging dock. So I've plugged in the mains adapter, just need to plug in to either side here. Make sure it's firmly home. It's a bit hard to see with my bright lights, but there is a very faint little blue light to indicate that it is plugged in. Place it up against the wall. I'm just putting it here for the purpose of the video, but ideally it should be up against a solid wall, and again with plenty of space around it so the robot can locate it. And of course you don't want any excess wire showing. Tuck that away so the robot can't get caught on it. And then basically we need to place the Dyson 360i on the dock for its initial charge. When you place the 360i on the charging dock, the battery light will pulsate until it's fully charged, and then it will turn solid blue. Well folks, at the time of filming this part of the video on the Dyson 360i, it's now February 2024. I bought this on the 5th of March 2020. So, yeah, a bit late to show you this. Never mind, I'll show you it anyway. Can't buy it anymore. Discontinued. It was replaced by the blue model, which I also have, which I haven't shown you. That's not come out of the box. I expect the guarantee of that has expired. And of course, you Dyson fans will know that there's a newer robot just launched, over £1,000. So I don't think I'll be getting one of those. So I did film some more footage of this soon after I got it. I took it to my mum's house and set it up in a few of her rooms and filmed it in action. But then I forgot about it and it just got put back in its box. So recently I got it out again, made sure the battery was still charging. I'm not sure if I said earlier that you can't replace the battery yourself. I think you can replace it yourself. They are available behind this filter, isn't it? I think it's about £85. So you can buy them. A lot of the parts for this aren't available on Dyson's website anymore. Can't even find the filter. Filter says out of stock. I think you can still get the brush bar and some other bits and pieces, but the filter is out of stock the time I checked today. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be in stock. So I'm actually going to turn this on for you. Now what I did, I had to connect this to my Wi-Fi. I had quite a bit of trouble doing so. I had to ring Dyson. I did film it, but I've lost the footage. It turns out I got one of the digits or letters wrong in the serial number and it wasn't finding it or something. Anyway, we got it sorted. Here's my robot on the My Dyson app, and for some reason I've called this one Dan. Dan is ready to clean. The battery is fully charged. So now, if I want to start Dan cleaning my living room, I'll press this button here, and then we can select from quiet mode or max mode. So quiet mode will give us a longer running time but reduced performance. For better performance and a shorter running time, we can select max. The max is also louder than the quiet mode, obviously. We can also see where Dan has been by pressing this button here. So you can see I haven't used Dan much. I've just briefly turned him on just to check he's still working. But after Dan has cleaned my entire living room, it should map out more of the area that Dan has cleaned. We can also schedule Dan to clean at certain times of the day. So for example, if you want Dan to clean at 9 AM every morning, you can select it every day or selected days, or when you've gone to bed you can select Dan to clean. So you can do that. You can just set it up in here, put the time in, the dates, everything. Fairly straightforward. One thing Dan doesn't have, so Dan just basically has two modes, the max mode and the quiet mode. But Dan doesn't have a spot cleaning mode, so if you were to spill something in a small area and you just wanted Dan to clean a small area, maybe a square metre, Dan can't. So very limited that way. Okay then, well, I think I've talked enough. First of all, I've got to make sure there's nothing on the floor that's going to get caught up in Dan. No wires, no tassels, any large items on your carpet. If you've got bits of Lego or anything that could be picked up by Dan and damage Dan, you need to make sure it's off the carpet. I have vacuumed this room yesterday. I'm not expecting Dan to pick up a lot of muck, but we'll see. So we'll keep an eye on Dan as he cleans my living room. I knew I should have kept my eye on Dan. He's paused. I can't understand why. I thought he might have trouble with his glass table, but he's not even touching it. Why have you paused, Dan? Anyway, we'll restart and hopefully Dan will continue on his merry way. But if I was out and Dan had paused, I'd be coming home and finding Dan here, stranded. Never mind, let's start him up again and see if he moves. Come on, Dan. I think I'm going to have to move Dan a bit because he's not moving. Not a good start. Ah, I think he's going to move. Let's hope so. In your own time, please, Dan. The app says he's cleaning. Well, perhaps he's on a fag break. Are you having a cigarette, Dan? Because you're not cleaning my carpet, are you? I've forgotten why this has been in its box for so long. He doesn't like rugs either. He gets caught up in all sorts of places. You really need to make your house robot proof before getting a robotic vacuum. It's probably because I've got so many robotic vacuums still in their boxes, all with expired guarantees, because my house wasn't clutter free enough to set them going. But I have cluttered free. My living room is clutter free, but come on. Now, I think I've paused you because your pause light is flashing. So when I press that again, oh, thank you. I can't watch Dan struggling anymore. It's my fault for owning a table like this. So I'm going to remove the table off the carpet and hopefully Dan will manage to clean the rest of the room without getting stuck. Just go round it, Dan. Go round it, please. He can't. He's too thick. So Dan, I'm going to remove the table and make life a bit easier for you. Again, Dan is having another break. What are you thinking about, Dan, please? The app says you're cleaning. Oh, thank you. Dan, you really are pathetic. I'm going to have to remove my side table now Because you can't cope with that either, can you? Let's pop it on the sofa. Oh, dearie me. So next time I use Dan in my living room, I must remember to remove the coffee table and both side tables, and then he might clean without me having to attend to him every few minutes. Okay, I'll press the pause button. We'll have to wait until Dan gets his bearings again, and hopefully he'll continue to clean. Welcome to the future of hands-free vacuuming. Let your robot do all the cleaning for you. Just set and forget. Walk away and come back to lovely clean carpets and floors. Not in the case of Duncy here. I'm calling you Duncy Dan. Dan the Dunce. Why have you got caught there? I don't know. He had a little bit of trouble with the doorstop here. But he managed to get round that, you know. He got off the doorstop. I'll try and start him again where he is. Well, no, I can't. I'll have to move him. Right, let's try again, Dan. I've had enough. It's painful to watch. Why on earth is this thing getting caught up there? There's no obstacles. It was just basically banging its head against the wall, wasn't it? Yes, you are in it. I'm not going to call you Dan. You're a... well, I can't say. I like to keep my channel family friendly. I've forgotten how appalling this is at finding its way around. You offered so much promise, but you failed to deliver with your carbon filter filaments, your DDM V2 78,000 RPM. What use is all that when you can't find your way around a clear room? I've picked everything up that was causing trouble for Dan. I can't move that wall in the corner. I've picked up the movable furniture. Oh dear. I wonder if the is it the Hurist model, the blue one that I've got? I wonder if that's going to be any better. But I've used much cheaper robotic vacuums than this, and they've not got caught up constantly. They've normally gone around the room, found their way back to the dock and started charging themselves. But this one, he's picking up the bits, but he hasn't cleaned the whole of the room yet, so I don't know what to do. Just try him again, start him again from here and see what happens. As you can see, Dan has returned to his dock because he's finished. He's finished for today. He's cleaned my living room with quite some help from me. It's my own fault for having furniture in my house. It's my own fault for having a table, side tables, door stops, carpet, walls. I'm sorry, Dan. I don't live in the sort of house or apartment you see on those Dyson adverts, those ones that look clinically clean with hardly any furniture in. I live in a real home, Dan, and you've got to get used to it. Maybe Dan will learn as I use him more. Now I've got him back out of the box. He's probably having a little bit of a fit that I left him in the box for so long, but I'm not sure if Dan will learn as he goes along. Perhaps you will, Dan. So I'm going to give you a C- for this video. I wonder if I use you again. I'm going to use Dan again. I'm going to use him in my kitchen. I'm going to put down some lentils. I'll measure some out and we'll see if he manages to pick everything up. He should be okay on a kitchen floor. He might have trouble with my table and my chairs though. So that'll be a fun video. So I'll do a separate video with Dan cleaning a hard floor. I've lots of other robotic videos, robotic cleaners I haven't shown you. I've got a Hoover one, I've got some iRobot ones, I've got some Vorwerk ones, another Dyson. So we'll see, and then maybe we'll have a massive robot test where I just shove them all on in the same room and let them fight it out amongst themselves. Well, let's see what you've picked up, Dan. To be fair to Dan, you know, he did actually go back to the places he missed. Even when I had to move him, he did know he hadn't been to certain areas. So I would say he's covered about 90 to 95% of the carpet. There's not a huge amount in here. Bear in mind I vacuumed yesterday. But, well, we've got some fine dust. Considering all the time he took though, that isn't really a huge amount, but I can feel some gritty dirt in here. There's some fluff and possibly hair, and some quite fine dust as well. He does pick up well, you know, to give Dan his due when he does work, and I've used him in different rooms as well, in this house and my mum's house. He does seem to pick up well. He doesn't really like this carpet, but he's not as bad as he was. When I first got Dan and used him on this carpet, when this carpet was newer, he really struggled. He was bouncing all over it, up, down, up, down. But he sort of, I think as the carpet's got a bit older and it's had several shampoos and, you know, many different vacuums on it, it's sort of bedded down a bit and it's not so bad. We can see inside the cyclone there's dust. Yeah, more dust coming out. What I tend to do with these is get another vacuum cleaner and just, you know, suck out as much as I can from the central cyclones of these, and then just normally give these a bit of a wipe down. But I won't at the moment. I mean, that's fine for the next time. As I say, I have used this machine quite a bit that you've not seen, but no doubt I'll be blamed for the poor navigation of this robotic vacuum cleaner. It'll be my fault. It always is, especially with Dyson. If I do anything wrong, the Dyson fanboys come out in force and say, "You idiot, you're doing it wrong." Check back on my channel, see how many Dyson products I've shown you. I'm not an amateur at owning expensive toys like this 360i from Dyson. It is discontinued. It was replaced. That model's been discontinued. It's unlikely I'll be finding out what the new version is like, because I just can't afford that sort of money for a robotic vacuum cleaner. And besides, I've got quite a few other machines I haven't shown you in the robotic line that I want to show you first before spending out any more money on another robotic cleaner. They're fun, they're a novelty, they don't really suit my lifestyle. I like vacuuming, believe it or not. But I mean, I'm not going to be totally negative about Dan. I do like his form factor. He does more or less clean across the full width of the body. He gets close to the edge. When he works pretty well, but he does get stuck quite a lot. And I expect robot vacuum cleaners to get stuck, but I expect them to get out of it. I don't expect having to come and attend to the robot every few minutes because he's just down tools and decides not to work anymore. So I'm just putting this video up. It's not a review as such because it's not available. You might be able to get these secondhand on eBay or something. You might have to buy a new battery for it though if you buy them secondhand, and possibly a new brush roll. But one thing I do like about this Dyson is the size. He's quite a bit taller than a lot of robotic vacuum cleaners, so he won't get under low furniture, but he does get into smaller spaces that some other robots don't get into because he is quite narrow. I'm saying he, it isn't it. You are in it. You're not intelligent, but I don't mind you, but I wouldn't recommend to anybody to buy this now. Obviously there are newer, cheaper, better robots out there, and yeah, it's nice to have for my collection. But Dan, I don't think you're going to be used on a regular basis. So from me and Dan, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.